And here we are.
We are back.
Woo!
Week 11.
Oh my God.
Can you believe
We
it?
made it to 11.
So I just want to go on the record here. I read an article this week about podcasts, and it says that 80% of them don't make it to 10 episodes.
Yes.
Woohoo! We made it over the hump.
We are well above the norm.
We're in the 20%, Kellen.
Yes.
Woohoo!
We're going to be higher than that because I've got us booked out through February. So we're going to be okay.
Well, the next stat is of those who make it to 10 episodes, the next 80% don't make it to 20 episodes. So, okay. So if we make it to the next round, we're 1%ers, 1% podcasters.
That's because we have such an amazing topics. So welcome to the Right Spotlight. I'm Kellen and
Brian Monahan. And
we created this show so we can help aspiring authors hear from other authors' stories and learn from their mistakes, learn from their victories. And it's so exciting because we've had so many amazing guests so far, and it's only been 11 episodes.
I know. I mean, for me, it's easy because we have such amazing guests. It's like, I want to get on the horn with these people. Yes. It's like, and we've established that it's essentially free therapy for us. So it's worked out really well for us.
Yes, it has. It really has. And, so this is our British Invasion month. So I'm really excited. We had Michael Heppel last week, who was, oh my gosh, I'm still giddy about it. I'm such a fangirl for Michael Heppel. I mean, I'm just he's a brilliant man. He's the one that got me through the, pushed through the finish line to get my book completed. And isn't it funny? That's something you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always take a chance to talk about our sponsors. And so I do a little book coaching on the side. I work with emerging authors to get their book done and get it working for them in about 90 days. I need a few more wins under my belt to go ahead and be able to claim that 100%. But I help authors get to you. So once they write their book, they need some help promoting it and cards that wow. Tell us a little bit about that, Kellen.
I make them stand out. I can get you that interview you want from a radio or a television show or magazine articles. I have a secret sauce that helps new aspiring authors and experienced as well if they want to use it. Just be sure to make sure that you contact both of us when you want more information. I have this book.
I have this book. Oh wait, that book.
So we are legit. We are authors. So we have street creds and I just think it makes the interviewing process so much more fun because I know I made mistakes. I wish I'd done things differently. I know you're the same way, but
yeah, that's my favorite part is the little insights we get from everybody. I mean, it's a gold mine of information, hearing from these very successful authors, but they still have the same challenges that us normal humans have. So
they're real people too.
Yep. So it's always good to hear what they're facing as well. So, I mean, who we have up today? I mean, enough about us.
This lady has the patience of Job. I'm just going to tell you that right now because I was trying to get her on my show when I had my coffee talk show. So she has waited through 3 shows to be to be interviewed by me. She is just a ball of fire, dynamite, explosive personality. I just love her to death. I met her actually through Michael Heppel in his Write That Book class. And she has since authored 2 books. The first one's Eddie Finds a Family, and then Eddie Finds a Home. And her books are about adoption, and it touches my heart every time I hear her story. She's also a book coach, and she's just an all-around fabulous person, Sarah McGeough.
All right, let's bring her in.
Woohoo! Well, there's so much more that you do, Sarah. I mean, that's just the tip of it. I mean, you're like, I feel like you're Michael's right hand. You're
yes, I'm a fangirl of Michael Heppel too. So
I'm a fangirl as well. I mean, what can I say?
I work for him though, so
I know she keeps everything. I don't know how she does it. Like, she'll send me a message and like, "What are you talking about today?" And I'd be like, "Oh man, I got."
How do I get on the payroll too?
I don't know. But you are like a super organizer, and that comes with being a mom. Okay, yes, I can speak from experience. I'm sure it's a dad too. But I'm just thinking the mom kind of takes it to an extra level, and you have this beautiful boy.
Yes,
were on, TV and stuff like that. But
Yes.
You actually wrote a book about adoption. And
yes, indeed.
so what I wanted to talk about, and I talked about this to you earlier, is a lot of reason books become successful is because their why is in alignment with the book. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about your why.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yes, my why is a very big deal to me, and it was what motivated me to write my books in the first place. It is my beautiful boy, my beautiful son. So we went through a big, massive journey to have our own family. It took 8 years. It was quite challenging, quite upsetting, quite emotional, and it took us 3 years to adopt our son. No, I don't mind. Edward is his name. Okay. So and in 2020, obviously the world locked down, and I kind of was feeling a bit, okay, what do I do? I'm not really sure what I'm doing. We just moved home. It was quite a big deal for us, and I was walking along the beach one day with my best friend when we were allowed to go out for that hour, and he said to me that he wanted to write a book, and I was like, and we talked about it a bit more, and then I said, yeah, actually, I think that's a really good idea. I'd like to write a book, and I had in the back of my head that I always wanted to write a book about adoption because it's been such a big part of my life. It is still a massive part of my life. And we felt that there was no books out there that were engaging, that were fun, that were colourful, vibrant. All the adoption books were kind of quite dull. There was kind of like a picture of a grey. We were given a picture of a grey child on one of the books we were given by social services. And it was like, no, this is not going to engage my son or any other child at all. So I kind of made it a bit more fun. So we got the flamingos came to life, Frank and Flossie, the flamingos, and Eddie the emu. And I am Flossie, my husband is Frank, and my son is Eddie. So he's my big why.
So how did your husband feel about, you writing the book around your story?
Yeah, he was really excited. He was really excited. I think originally I thought that I was going to write a book about my journey, sort of going through it as a mum, as a female, as a woman, going through everything that I'd gone through, because there was a lot of quite challenging things that I went through. Physically as well as emotionally. But then I thought, actually, I did have a chat with Michael about it first, because I had two ideas at the time, and he said to me, go with your heart. So that's why I went down this road. And it was just my husband. We mess around. We call each other Frank and Flossie. It is quite fun to continue that on. But he's super proud. And my son, he asked me last week, Mummy, are you going to come in and read your book to my school? Because I would really love you to.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
And how old is Eddie now?
So he's 8 now.
Wow.
So we adopted him when he was really little. So he was only 6 months old when he came to live with us. So a little baby. So we've had him, for most of his life. So it's pretty amazing.
I mean, how important, for you to do this book in a format that is friendly, family, fun, colorful. We're going to talk about character development a little bit too. I have that on my list. But what a gift that you've given to other moms and dads and people that are even contemplating, and for the children, for them to have something that's fun and not scary, to look at as a reference. And then we can talk about the legacy you've just left for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lovely. It is so lovely because, as you say, I think originally I wrote it for my son, and that was only my goal, to do something to make him understand his journey a bit better, understand his story a bit more, allow me to sit with him and talk it through. But actually, I then quickly realised that, of course, I'm going to impact lots of other families, lots of other children, lots of other mummies and daddies out there in in the world. And it's such a blessing, because now I see how much impact I have on others. And I think I never kind of believed it, really. When you start out writing a book, you think, oh, maybe I might, sell, 10, 20. And then you're like, wow. When it starts to go into thousands, then you start to get very excited about it.
It's very exciting. It is
yeah.
very exciting.
And it's just nice that you get messages from parents, and you get the videos and photos from children enjoying your work. So it is lovely.
So is there I know that with some adoptions, there's a time where the child wants to know their real mom and their real dad. Is that a potential next book, or like?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to call them birth parents. So birth, mum, birth dad. But yes, I think there is elements in these books. So it is much about kind of talking about adoption really openly, talking about kind of the journey to get there. So they kind of don't, it's not scary, and it's not a big surprise. So we encourage now, certainly with social services, they encourage us to talk openly about adoption. So it isn't something that you talk about, when they're 18. Right. Oh, I'm just going to tell you something that we haven't mentioned the whole entire of your childhood, or even later when you're a grown adult, even later in life, 50, 60 years old, and then you're told something quite scary, and then you really question your own identity. Right. And it's quite traumatic for a child that's been adopted. So I think, the series is going to progress. So I think at the moment it's still in that phase where it's very targeted at young children, so between 4 and 8 years old. But obviously, as my son gets older, I become more knowledgeable of things that he needs, and that tends to help me write my books. So
yeah, I think the best content is what you experience in real life. And to be able to take it and put it in a format that others can digest, that's not over, like you said, like that gray book. How disappointing would that be? So
yeah, exactly. And having kind of no expression on this child's face, and it was like, no, I don't. I kind of never showed him it. So that's good. Happening. But yes, I think that Eddie feels at home, talks a lot more about kind of coming home, and that transition. It's a big change. When you are adopted, it is a massive change, and you need to kind of understand it from all sides. So it's coming, the parents, it's very new to me and my husband. We didn't have 9 months of preparation. We had about 8 days to prepare for that change, having to change our house, build a nursery, paint things, buy all the stuff that comes with a baby. And it was quite a big, yes, we had emotional, we realized that it was happening over a long period of time, but it is quite a big deal to have a baby come into your life so quickly like that. And of course, for him, it's a lot of loss for him. And I think sometimes people don't realize that there is a lot of loss that happens. Although he may be a young child, a young baby, it's still there. It's kind of innate with them that they know that there's something kind of quite not right, a little bit of something missing. And I try to express that very sensitively in the books. So that's why I make it a bit more fun. But there's a lot of emotion in these books as well, so children can understand it. Very well, simply written. So
I like it that you're not candy coating anything. Like you're making it digestible for that age, but you're not candy coating. You're like, oh, this is a fact. I love that. I love that about it.
Yes. And I've got Eddie Goes to School is the next one. I have already started to write, but it is just at the moment I'm focusing on a few other things. So I'm being kept busy. So yeah. It's coming.
I wanted to bring that up. So you adopt a child, you're raising a child, and I'm going to write a couple books and start a series. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Yes. It's fun though. I enjoy it so much. I think I would do it all the time if I could. But one, it's very expensive to write books too. So that's another thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what life does for us, is it gives us the contrast, and it takes up enough of our energy that when we do write the book, it's all the more special. So
yeah, exactly. And we can celebrate it more, can't we?
So can we dive into character development a little bit? You want to explain how you came up with the idea for the characters, and then we can talk about your amazing illustrator, because I know.
That's what I wanted to ask about.
So the characters, I guess, in a way, I love flamingos. I love coming to America. I love Florida, especially. We tend to have visited there quite often, me and my husband on our own, and with Edward as well.
Did you notice what color shirt I'm wearing today?
Flamingo
colors.
Flamingo,
I mean, that wasn't by chance. Okay, it was.
Mine's a dyed flamingo.
So I kind of fell in love with flamingos. We came quite a few years ago, me and my husband, and I got to hold a flamingo, and I was kind of quite taken aback by that experience. And ever since then, they've kind of been my really, really favorite go-to. And then I got given a yodeling flamingo for my 40th birthday, which was called Flossie. And then so Flossie the flamingo was already in my life. And then I just thought, well, why don't I create the characters based on my favorite bird? Sometimes it can be a lot easier than using humans, children, because again, you start to get into the differences and what they look like, and kind of that can become quite complex. So I thought, okay, let's stick with birds for the time being, and animals. And so then Flossie was quite straightforward. Eddie Emu was quite straightforward. I wanted another bird because again, it's about showing there's difference there. So you don't have to be a flamingo for them to adopt a flamingo. So they adopted an emu instead. So I was trying to being because it's quite sweet, Eddie is obviously, he can't fly either. He looks very different to his mum and dad. And then Frank kind of came. We were just debating names. We wanted it to obviously go well with flamingo. So yeah, Frank just kind of came, and I said to my husband, do you like the name Frank? And we went with that one. We went through a few different versions, and then the other characters just came. Really, we've got I went with their kind of job titles. So we have a social worker, Stella Stork, the social worker. It felt quite obvious with a stork, bringing babies.
Yeah, perfect.
So Stella Stork for the social worker, and then Felicity Frog as the foster carer. Although obviously she's a giant frog, so it's a little bit different. And then Herbie Hippo, he's a great character, a big larger than life character with his matching bow tie and his matching pants. So he's quite cool. And then Patsy Pelican, who's Flossie's best friend. So I wanted to try and make sure that I didn't have too many characters, but I wanted them to be a little bit fun and flamboyant. And lots of children like Herbie Hippo. I've had lots of comments about him. But yeah,
I just love how the whole thing just came together for you. I mean, you started with one thing, and as you dug into it, it's like, I love that you took animals as humans, because it creates such a safe way to tell the story. And
yes,
and then you're not pinning something down on some particular human. So
yeah, exactly. It kind of takes away that complexity a little bit. And then obviously I put them in clothes as well. So Flossie's in a fitness outfit, maybe loosely based on me, but I'm not sure, depending on the week. And then Frank likes to cook. So yes, my husband likes to cook. So he's in a kind of kind of outfit, fishmonger outfit, I think was the thing. But yeah, I was trying to give them their own little personalities, and again, your creative mind can go buzzing in lots of different directions, can't it? So, but lots of fun.
So is that where your illustrator comes in and she kind of hones in all the concepts of what you want to keep you on that path?
Yes. I mean, I've actually got 2 illustrators, but you wouldn't know that. So the first illustrator I had, Stephanie, she created them from scratch. So literally from my head, telling her what I would like them to look like. And I actually contacted a few illustrators at the time. And they came back with very, very different ideas, as you can imagine. You ask people and they will always come back with something different from their imagination. But yes, I really loved her characters and fell in love with them. You know, like you get the illustration and you're just like, oh my goodness, that is them all over. And then so she helped me to develop the characters, and she brought them to life, which is quite remarkable, really. And then sadly, she couldn't continue the journey with me. So Jen, who I do use now for lots of my work, she had to recreate them. So Jen did Eddie Feels at Home, and again, you wouldn't really notice the difference. They are very similar. She had to create new ones. We've got penguins. We've got penguins in the other book. So she had to. We've got an orangutan, Ollie the orangutan, and Albert the alligator in Eddie Feels at Home. So yes, she had to create new characters that were based on what they. Kind of the design, but yes, she's done an amazing job. She's a wonderful illustrator.
I'm a fan.
Yes, indeed. We had the same one.
I know. Thanks to you. I think you referred her to me. So I mean,
yes.
It's amazing. Like
I'm getting very jealous. I need characters.
She sat with me for like an hour and had me send all these different views because I wanted the pugs to be captured, and she captured the person out. It was crazy. Like, so that's the importance of a good illustrator, that they listen to you, they understand your direction, but they also have, like, she also had opinions like, I don't think that'll work, and you need to trust your illustrator, I think. Don't you agree?
Yes. Definitely, because it is really difficult, and I think you don't often realize how much it goes into, because when you see the words, obviously the illustrations bring the words to life. It's quite remarkable. And then sometimes you need to obviously chop the words away because you don't need the words, because the illustrations tell the story. So yes, and when she had to create like rooms and things like that, we've got Eddie's room, like his bedroom at home, and their house. You start to realize how much that is quite a big deal to create a full-sized illustration book. So and we went through loads of color codes, and no, I don't like that one. That doesn't go with that. That wallpaper doesn't match that.
It's almost like redecorating a home, isn't it?
Yeah, totally like that. Yeah. And it's like we had to keep going backwards and forwards a few times. The cover, I found the cover really difficult to land. I think that was the hardest thing, because again, it's the thing that it attracts people to your book in the first place, doesn't it? So it's very important.
Well, I'll say, learning of you through Kellen, looking you up, landing on the books, knowing a little bit about, when I saw the covers, they absolutely were kind of what I expected. That you nailed both of them. So
thank you.
I love the Flamingo character is just, it's fun. Eddie Emu jumping. I mean, but yeah, I agree. I didn't even consider that you need to hire an interior decorator for illustrating your book. So that's a new one for me.
Yes. It takes you to a whole different creative space. It's like, okay, I've got to think bigger now.
It's exhausting too. I remember being really tired, like finalizing this, and then when it's final, it's so scary because you're like, okay, that's it. I can't change it anymore, and when you're getting ready to push that button, all about that, Sarah, don't you?
So scary. And I'm a tweaker. And I'm a perfectionist, which is not good.
So what would you say is the favorite part of the whole process, from coming up with the idea to pushing that button to marketing your books? What would be your favorite part?
The favorite part would be seeing my son hold the book. Most definitely. I mean, I was very excited. The video has been played quite a few times. I've done an unboxing video. It was quite early on in the Write That Book Masterclass. I was on the first one, and I was on the sixth one. I was on all of them. And the unboxing video that I did was one of the first ever unboxing videos. And that was just quite remarkable. I danced around my kitchen.
Yes, I remember that.
Well, very excited about it. And yeah, it was quite a wow moment for me. But for my son to have the book and to see his face was again quite remarkable, really. And to sit down and read it to him was just very emotional. I can feel it now, just very emotional. You know, he helped me write it. So there were elements of the book where I was writing it and I'd say to him, what do you think? And he'd say, well, I'm not sure. I don't understand that. Or he would say certain things and then I would add them to the story because I felt it was so important to reflect how he was feeling, so that other children would be able to, it would resonate with them.
Right.
But yes, there's so many different moments, to be fair. I could list quite a lot of big moments and
we'll do a couple more if you want.
Yeah, we'll take them all.
Yeah. Authors need to know.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, I think just seeing them come to life as well. I think when I first got the illustrations back, I was so blown away. And it feels real. All of a sudden you're like, okay, is this really happening? Am I really going to write a book? And yeah, it's very special. It's and it kind of pushes you forward though, doesn't it? It gives you that motivation. Because, you know, as authors, we do kind of, you know, get distracted and we can procrastinate a little bit. We can avoid things that are hard.
Yeah, I think Kellen and I have between us about 20 books going right now.
Yes. So yeah,
so we get it.
Totally,
yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I've got a long list of ideas that keep coming.
So do you write every day like Michael tells you to?
I do write every day, probably not always for myself, but I do write every day. I mean, I write stuff for Michael sometimes. I write, I journal, all of those things that are good for you. And then, yes, I mean, I'm writing another book at the moment, but it is very different. It's not a children's book in any capacity. It's a grown-up book this time round. So yes, I have been writing a lot recently.
So that gives us our cue to have her back.
Yeah.
Not that we need an excuse.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do twice as many shows next season because we've invited everybody back.
Well, everybody's working on something new.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, of course. Yes. You have to get to your 20th and then you have to keep going, don't you, with your...
I think we're going to be okay. So
let me get this. You're raising a boy. You are writing another book. You're still working on your original series. You do work for Michael. And then you also help other authors write books as well.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started it. So I trained to be a coach before COVID happened, and then during COVID happened because it all went a bit strange then. And so I qualified as a personal performance coach. And
oh, wow.
Then I was very much kind of, okay, well, where should my I think I say niche, but you say niche, I think is the right.
I say niche.
We can say niche. We'll say niche. It sounds, niche is a little.
Niche sounds kind of like.
Yeah.
Niche is more elegant and glamorous.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
You got to have a niche to get reach.
Yeah, reach. That's a good one. I like that. I have to remember that.
Well, I mean, Michael's taught us all kinds of new ways to pronounce words. So
yeah.
Has he? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
So you coach people how to write a book.
Are you allowed to say book?
A book. I said it's
Are
a book.
you allowed to say book?
I would have loved to have heard that argument.
I think we need to bring that on, have a little cage match.
Well, he's from more up north. I'm from down south. So
we could put the two of them on, and you and I could just leave.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. We do that most weeks, to be honest. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, so my niche, I was kind of where should my niche be? I need to have a niche for coaching, because there's obviously so many coaches out there in the world, but there's all space for everyone. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, adoption, maybe that should be a niche of mine. And then I actually had a coach, a different coach who I knew through my coaching training, and she said, well, you love writing books. So, it's pretty obvious. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's an obvious thing, really. But I wasn't seeing it at the time. But yeah, so I have helped quite a lot of writers become authors. I like to call it release your inner author. We all have a book in us, mm-hmm. but sometimes, we don't have the confidence. We don't have the courage. That self-doubt kind of gets in the way quite a lot. And life gets in the way. We have to plan to write a book. You can't just go, I'm going to write a book and it's just going to appear. It takes a lot of effort, really, doesn't it? So I help books. I am one of Michael's coaches in the Write That Book program, in his masterclass. So I have worked with his clients as well to help them get it over the line, because sometimes they just need a bit of gentle encouragement, and sometimes a bit of tough love as well. a bit of both.
Yeah, I think many people want to keep procrastinating pressing that publish button. They don't want to take it to that, how did it feel when you say, hey, I'm done with this book? Was there any kind of anxiety about that, or what was that like for you?
I think so. There's definitely the roller coaster ride of writing a book. I think definitely you go through the elation and the excitement of it, and then you go to the scared, I'm really petrified of how this is going to be received, and then you start to talk yourself down out of it. Or maybe this is not a good idea, maybe I shouldn't do it, maybe people aren't going to like it, or and then you kind of get back up again and you start to write it. And I think when you press that button, it's kind of a bit like, okay, I'm really, really, really terrified now. I had quite a few issues when I pressed my button for my first book, because the printing company didn't really help me, and it had to be printed 3 times. Oh, wow. So I was very stressed. And it just before Christmas as well. And I literally had 24 hours to send it out to everyone.
Oh my gosh. There's the fright and the fear, but there's also the jubilation and the excitement and the pride. I mean, it's like this myriad of emotions.
Yeah. And I think you still go through that, because I think even now, 3 years on since my first book, I mean, people still buy it. I still get reviews on Amazon. Reading those reviews, it's still wonderful that people still take the time to do that. It's very important for an author to get reviews. And I think it's just lovely when someone reaches out to you. People are going through the adoption process all the time. So I guess in that way that I am quite lucky, because it's kind of like an ongoing, new parents are out there all the time that want help and want support for their children. So I am quite lucky in that respect. But yes, the roller coaster ride of authoring is very real.
Well,
Brian, do you want to ask her the question?
Yeah, the money question. The money question. If you were talking to an aspiring author, what would you tell them that you would do different on your first book as a tip for them?
I would say that don't take it for granted how long it's going to take. I think my book took me 6 months to get from start to finish, and I think that's the thing, that you need to make sure that you completely understand the whole process and what's involved, because it will surprise you, and things will come up and you don't realize that you need to do them because you're not planned, or you think that it's going to be a lot easier or a lot harder than it is going to be. So I think you need to put yourself in the right place. And I think as well that you need to know like a date of knowing exactly when you want your book out there. I think that gives you a really good focus, because if you think, oh, I'm going to write a book, but it's kind of very airy fairy like out there, then it kind of just stays there. Whereas if you give yourself, my goal, I mean, in May 2020, my goal was to have a book out by Christmas. And that's what I achieved. And I knew, but yes, I think definitely knowing how much time you need, and making sure that you stick to that time frame. Don't allow yourself to go over.
No, I mean, that's a wonderful point, because I think you could go back into a book over and over, and it's easy to forget all those other parts that of a book. And so I think, that's what's brilliant about you offering coaching on this, is that, people don't know about all the aspects that it takes and all the hitch points. And so having somebody that's been there, done that is such a wonderful service you can offer to people. I don't think everybody used to use publishers, and now that more self-publishing, well, you need somebody that's been there and done that. So I love.
Yeah. And it's so much more fun because you have so much more control over things. You have your creative brain can do things. Your cover can look how you want it to, your book title. It's so lovely to self-publish. I think it's it's a great thing to do. And I always say, go out and do it.
Get her done.
Get it done. Absolutely.
Well, this has been fabulous. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or we just remember?
No. Just good luck with if you're going to go out there and write a book, then yes, please do it. It's the best feeling, and I would say it's one of the most special, proudest moments of my life. It's one of my top, ever things to do and to achieve. And I would always encourage people to go out and do that. And if there's not a book out there that you like, then go and write it.
Mm-hmm. That's what you did.
Absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't there, so I created it myself.
Look for gray book covers.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to change that. I'm going to add more color. That's what you need. Add more color in the world. We all need that, don't we?
I could never see you writing a black and white book. Ever. You're too colorful and vibrant.
Thank you.
Well, you can find Sarah at theflamingofamily.co.uk, and the book coaching website is
right now
coaching. She's an amazing woman. You guys will love meeting her and talking to her. So I recommend that you do that right away.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me on to your show. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. We will bring you back next season, and we appreciate you jumping on here. And we're going to send you off to the green room, and Kellen and I are going to digest what we just talked about. So
highlights. I have a highlight section.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
You too. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Amazing or what?
Oh, I love her. She is
energy,
wonderful.
She's like that all the time. I'm like, when she sleeps, she must just go, because she's got so much. I couldn't even keep up with her. So, okay, my takeaways. I'm going to do that.
You go first.
Is the why, which is her why was just so heartfelt and powerful, and again, she's proving to new authors that the why is so important. I love the symbolism in her character development. I mean, she really thought out. She didn't just say, I'm going to have a flamingo. I'm going to have she was very, very purposeful in choosing her characters, and it shows in the books. And it's so important to have a good illustrator and to trust your illustrator as well.
Mm-hmm.
Having realistic time expectations, which I think we've all had that problem in our book writing. I know I certainly did. And it seems like every person we've interviewed on here has talked about like not wishing they'd done it sooner or not expecting, it was a time, we have kind of a time thing going on. Everybody's talking about some sort of time issue. And the most importantly, I think, is reviews. I mean, she's right. Reviews from peers and people that have read your book are way more important than I think people realize. I mean, I think it's more important than their best-selling status. I think if you have a best-selling book with 2 great reviews or 20 great reviews, I mean, I know I use the reviews all the time. So when I'm choosing to purchase something, so that's my stuff in a nutshell.
You took all of mine. That's not fair. I should go first
because you
next
nodded
time.
and I wrote about it.
Now, one that really stood out to me, and I hadn't considered about illustrations. I think it's easy to get the idea that illustrations are only about the characters. Right. And I'm like, oh, wow, you got to build out the rooms and the scenes and different locations. And wow, when Sarah mentioned, how long do you need to write a book or illustrate a book? That just really made me realize there's so much more to a book that's got illustrations. And if you're going to go down that route, and I think you face that same thing with yours, is that, there's a whole nother story that needs to be developed visually.
I think we're going to have Jen on the show. We have to, because something as simple as the table of contents, you think sentence, ... number. Look what she did.
Yeah,
that's my table of contents. Who in the world? I never would have thought of this, and it's like it's my favorite part of my book. So yes, it's real important to trust your illustrator because
So and just that lead time, I think is, and I love that she says, and I think this is a great tip for anybody. I'm going to write a book by X date.
Yes.
You may not hit that date, but when you get close to that date, you're going to feel the crunch, and you're going to get the preface written, and you're going to get the forward in, and you're going to get the back matter done, and you're going to get your testimonials. You need to have something that's going to drive you to get those other parts of the book, because you're working hard on the content and the illustrations. So I think having that date as a backstop is a really good strategy. Love it. So,
how lucky are our viewers?
I know. I mean, I'm going to package up these tips for everybody in one video before next season, because it's just a gold mine of information.
I know that's going to be a great video. We could do that on Christmas, and then we can take that off.
Oh yeah, we'll wrap up little gifts,
Yes.
And the 12 day. Oh, well, we'll have about 12 episodes, so we could do like the 12 days of Christmas or something like that. We can give away
our own little advent calendar of gifts.
Or whatever, Look
at us coming up with things on the fly. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And please, I forgot to say this in the beginning. So please, if you're watching us, let us know where you're watching from. Please comment. If you have any questions for Sarah, one of us will get them to her, or you can contact her directly from the web information that we gave you. We appreciate you watching. Subscribe and tell your friends, please.
10:10 a.m. You can find us at therightspotlight.com or at YouTube at The Right Spotlight at YouTube channel. So go subscribe, and we push these out at 10:10 a.m. every Saturday. So we'll see you soon.
Yep. See you next week.
That was wonderful. God, she was cool.
How'd she go?
Yeah, she's.
Oh, that was fun. And I didn't mess up